Hey everyone, I'm Scott. Welcome to another HEB Cooking Connection virtual cooking class. We are glad you decided to join us tonight. Thank you for your time. It's promised to be a very action-packed class. I'll be your host for this next hour. You can call me Scott. You can refer to me in the chat as the guy, or hey dude, or hey bro, however you want to do it. Charlotte will answer it. She'll direct questions right to me. Speaking of Charlotte, in the chat, of course, as always, the moderator, fact checker, and Googler of Google things is Charlotte Samuel. Charlotte, thanks for being here with me again.
Thanks for having me.
It's like we're always in the dirt, we're always digging, and we're getting there, The past 10 months, if you've been joining us, you can always go back to check out past classes, see what you may have missed. You can always do that on our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/HEB. Check out all the past classes. There's so many classes.
What's your favorite so far? I want to know, of all the classes we've done.
Charlotte, the best is yet to come. I could just say that. Let's just say that. No, if I had to pick,
that's a great answer.
You know, I like that. That puts all the pressure on future us to make sure that the future of what we do is really, really compelling and really, really good. No, I do feel there's a lot of great stuff in the pipe that's coming down for you guys. Really great content. I love the holiday stuff. I loved all that really rich food we made. The kids baking class, a lot of fun. The charcuterie stuff, the wine classes, celebrity chef class. I mean, there's been a billion different things. You can always, again, go back to our YouTube channel, check it out. If you're joining us in the Zoom tonight, thanks for being here. You can ask questions directly to Charlotte. And if you have a question for me, please let her rip. On Facebook, thanks for joining us. Also on YouTube. On Facebook, you have the added ability to click on the item, and it can take you right to pay. So you can go pick up the item, so you can cook it with me. And if we play our cards right, we manage our time correctly, you should be able to have dinner with me starting right now at 6:05-ish, 6:03-ish. You should be able to have dinner on the table by the time we're wrapping this whole thing up. So we're going to get started with that. We're going to start with one of the first recipes we're going to do, roasted farro tabbouleh. So we are doing a vegan class.
Yes.
So this is not a class to say, hey, like, you know, any lifestyle, whatever lifestyle you choose to follow, we are with you in your journey. This lifestyle is all about, you know, for us, this class, the vegan lifestyle for us is really just kind of turning some lights on for you. So if you're looking to kind of really kind of figure out, you know, can I eat vegan? Should I eat vegan? Do I want to? Could I sustain it? This is really to kind of help you, you know, those baby steps to kind of go, hey, we're going to show you how to make vegetables kind of center of the plate. And so we're going to show you how to do that in an easy way, not with anything complicated or, you know, nothing freaky, just real simple to kind of just show you some alternate ways to add some extra veggies, and it all happens to be vegan. Everything we're doing tonight is a lot of fun. So we're going to start at roasted farro tabbouleh. So typically tabbouleh, I love tabbouleh, I love Middle Eastern food. I love the fact that the bulgur in this, the vegetables, we've got everything from cucumbers to tomatoes, the olive oil, lemon, like all this great stuff. I'm switching ours up. So in order to make this a little more filling, we're going to use farro. So farro is a grain. If you were here for our January classes, the farro is a great grain with our, what am I talking about, Charlotte? The dietitians during January. We talked about all the great fiber and like how great it is for you. Will you talk a little bit about what farro can do and how it can help you like stay fuller longer and why?
Well,
I'm going to spread our farro out in a sheet pan.
Great question. So farro is a whole grain item, meaning it has the bran. So there's three parts to a grain. There's the bran, the endosperm, and now all of a sudden I forgot the third one. That's
bran, endosperm, and the sounds like
germ. Thank you so much. And the bran is the part of the whole grain that has all of that wonderful fiber in it. And because this still has its fiber on it, it has the grain itself has a higher, you know, fiber content than say like a white rice, something like that. And the fiber content is good for you because it keeps you fuller longer, so it takes longer to digest.
It takes you. The great thing about this is you can see the color of our farro is very, very nice. I'm just using the Central Market Italian farro. I've got a whole bag here. It's ready in 10 minutes. It's really easy. So typically, if we're going to make like a rice, we want to add extra flavor or something. We're going to saute it or kind of stir fry it first to kind of, you know, toast it, get a little extra flavor. Well, we're not going to do that. We're going to roast this. So this is kind of a cool trick. And if you want to do this with your pasta, if you're a big pasta eater, you can also roast, like dry roast. I'm talking box pasta. Dry roast it in an oven until it gets a little caramelized. And when you boil that pasta, you're going to have this really rich kind of like toasted, you know, grain flavor. I love toasting farro in the oven. It's going to be about 20 minutes at 350 is where your oven should be. Pop it in there for 20 minutes. 10 minutes in, rotate it. It's going to start to smell like popcorn. It's going to have a really nutty flavor. I'm setting my timer right now.
So
I'm with you guys in this whole experience.
Tabbouleh is typically made with the bulgur wheat, which comes from durum wheat, and you're going to make it with farro.
Farro.
And so farro comes from Italy.
Italiano.
Italiano.
Farro.
Yes.
It's just fun to say, number one. Anytime you get to roll the R's on a food, I love to say things like farro is a great thing to say.
But farro is not gluten-free. A lot of people think that farro is gluten-free, but it does contain gluten.
But it's really, it's so, what I love about this is it's very toothsome. Good word.
Ooh, good
toothsome.
word.
So like it's very chewy, whereas bulgur I think is a little bit smaller of a grain. I really feel like the farro has, once you toast it, it's real nutty. It has a real toothsome quality to it. It adds a whole different level to this tabbouleh, which is kind of fun. While that's in the oven, we got to get that going first. I want to make sure we get that done. Now, all the dishes we're going to make, you can actually do right now and enjoy when it's all done, dessert included. So the only thing that may be a little different may be the tabbouleh, because the farro is going to take a while. Now, it may not cool completely, so you could actually eat it warm. We're going to boil it. We're going to roast it. We're going to boil it, fully cook it, and then we can actually add it to the herbs. You can do it hot. It'll become more like a hot tabbouleh salad. Where it'll but the good thing is, if it's warm and you're going to fold it into your herbs, all those herbs are going to kind of soften. You're going to get all those flavors, and it's going to be delicious. Everything else we're doing right now. All right, the fresh strawberries with whipped coconut manna, and crunch crumbs. I think one of the happiest times for me was we eat a lot of vegetarian stuff in my house. This is not a dig on meat at all. Love meat. We eat a lot of steaks. Love our HB meat market. But we do eat our meatless Mondays. Charlotte, I know you talked about meatless Mondays before too in our rehearsal. But to me, I love the fact that there's a lot of foods that are vegan that you may not have realized were vegan. I was really excited to see that my favorite cereal growing up, Cookie Crisp, but I never got to have because my mother never bought it for me. But when I got on my own, I was like, this is the best cereal ever, and it's vegan. Bam. Also, one of your favorite movie snacks. Charlotte, I know your favorite movie snack is the Twizzlers. Heads up. Oh, that was a terrible.
Oh,
don't
I
eat that
missed
one on the
it.
floor.
Try it
That'd be
again.
terrible. There we go. That's a better shot. Twizzlers, of course, these are vegan. It is what it is. Also, if you haven't tried these yet, your favorite sandwich cookie, the sandwich cookie, the HEB Twister is really good. Also, completely vegan. The great thing about this is not just a snack to pick up, but if you wanted to make like a cheesecake, let's say, like a vegan style cheesecake, you can use that instead of butter because that little filling in the middle works really, really well if you put everything in a food processor. Kind of used it to gel it all together. So if you want to make something like a vegan dessert. But our vegan dessert starts with, so in the recipe, now if you had trouble, I want to apologize because things change at HEB. We move very fast. We move very, very quickly. And sometimes an item that I may have used may have changed. So if you could not find the So Delicious Cocoa Whip, don't worry. There's another vegan whip topping called So Delicious. Is that what it's called? True Whip. True Whip. I was so close. I couldn't see the teleprompter because there is no teleprompter, but True Whip is what it is. So we have the True Whip, which we're going to use instead. So if you couldn't find it, don't worry about it. True Whip is just fine. Honestly, what I'm going to show you how to make the coconut manna, which starts with our sweetened condensed coconut milk. Now, if you're saying right now, like, look, Scott, I'm not a huge coconut fan. I want you to know you're not in this alone. I am not a big coconut fan either, but I love how all this comes together. And once you add the True Whip, this kind of like, this fake whipped cream, there's so many different layers that are happening that it's unbelievable. So, it's kind of our take on strawberries Romanoff.
Yes, so I need you to back up a little bit.
Yes,
and we need to talk about what manna is.
Manna, yes, coconut manna. So my vision of coconut manna, or my definition of coconut manna, I would say, is when they take the entire coconut and they basically puree all of it. So the meat, the oil, the juice, like everything comes together and kind of forms this, so it's got some texture, obviously, because the meat in there. Exactly.
Like
so we're going to make one.
peanut butter, only coconut.
Coconutty.
So whereas like coconut oil
which is like the oil pressed, exactly.
Okay.
So I'm using two things, coconut milk. So now if you are vegan and you're going, there's not a lot of desserts, I can't figure out, like if you love key lime pie, if you love things that call for sweetened condensed milk, and you can't use that, we also carry at HEB, we carry a sweetened condensed coconut milk, which you can also use to make fudge and some other desserts you may be missing out on. Also, what I'm going to use, not only that, but I'm using coconut cream. Don't confuse this with the Coco Loco or the sweetened coconut cream. Don't use that because it may be so sweet your teeth might hurt. This is unsweetened coconut cream, so a little bit thicker. And you can kind of see here as I'm going to dip my finger in this, it gets a little bit thicker. It's really, really good. So I'm going to add this to a blender. And because Rob likes to live dangerously, that's our cameraman and he's the everything that does technological in this place. It makes this thing happen. We like to live dangerously. We're going to take our super high-powered Vitamix, put it right under a really expensive camera. We're going to turn it on with no top because that's how we like to do it here. That's the coconut flakes. I'm using unsweetened organic coconut flakes here. That's just these guys. Just the H should be unsweetened. So the only thing that's sweetened, again, is the sweetened condensed milk. That's the only thing I'm really going to do. Everything else, I'm going to add a little vanilla extract to this. And then a pinch of salt. Always got to have a little pinch of salt. Reason being is because we want to make sure that all those flavors come out when we're doing it. That was a little more than a pinch of salt. That was a little more. I was about to put the top on, but that doesn't make for good TV, Rob. So here we go. You ready for this? I'm going to move those other ingredients aside because the sweet crumbs will make in a second. And because I believe in what we do here, in this blender, and our rehearsal power, I'm going to leave all my recipes close enough to where, can you see this? All right, down the barrel of the gun here. We're going to blend this up. I'll start on low. You know, this worked in rehearsal. We'll see if it's still, we're going to slowly crank it.
Sometimes I secretly wish it would explode. For good TV.
No hands. Perfect. All you want to do is go until it's nicely pureed. Can you hear me okay? That's all I want to do is just a little bit of, you can kind of see here down the barrel of the gun here, that it's just kind of like, it's just to where it's still watery, but we're going to add this to a container that I happen to have right here. It's going to go in the fridge for about 10 to 15 minutes. You can see it's pretty thick. So other uses for this, besides just making it into like a whipped cream, this is fantastic on oatmeal in the morning, your overnight oats. Use this because it's got all that flavor. It's rich, it's creamy, it's really, really good. It's a great way to add that flavor. So I'm going to put this in the fridge. About 10 to 15 minutes, we'll come back to this and I'll show you what the one that's done looks like. All right, carrot salad. Well, let's do the crumbs first. So, Charlotte, did you like crunch cereal, like Captain Crunch kind of berries, whatever that kind of cereal? Like, are you a big fan of those kind of sweet cereals growing up?
Still am.
Did you know it's vegan?
I learned, I was today years old.
We learned, this is the kind of thing like where, if you're like, could I lead a vegan lifestyle? My favorite cereal was in it. Could you do it? And then you're like, you know what? If you were on the fence and you're like, I can do it now. I'm into vegetables, I can do it, but I had to have my favorite cereal on the daily. There's so many different alternatives to milk nowadays. I mean, there's oat milk. There's all kinds of, every single nut you can milk. We've milked and we have them on our shelves. There's everything you can use. And it's literally, there's so many options that you really can do pretty much anything without milk. Nothing against milk, but this is not a show about milk, so we're going to do it the vegan way. So I've got some of our Captain Crunch cereal here, or our Crunch Berry cereal if you'd rather. Some Marcona almonds. Reason why I'm going to combine these two is
because... No, there's no Crunch Berries there, Chef.
There isn't. I pulled out all the Crunch Berries.
This is regular...
This is just regular
OG.
Captain Crunch, OG Captain Crunch. I'm using Marcona almonds. You don't have to use Marcona almonds. I love the fact that our Marcona almonds, Dalmau Marcona almonds, come from Spain. They're lightly fried in olive oil, and they salt them really, really well, and they're so good, and they just add an extra layer. They're just different from a regular almond. You can substitute with whatever kind of nut you want here. Just make sure it's slightly salted and roasted because that's going to add to the flavor. Again, we're going to layer all these flavors in. A little powdered sugar, some of the cereal, some of the Marcona almonds. Buzz that up together, and you get this right here, our little sweet crunch crumbs. You can see there's a pretty good amount of texture there, right? Some little pieces, because we want to have that texture, because you've got the strawberries, which depending on how big you cut them, maybe a little bit bigger. You've got the soft cream, which doesn't really have anything in it. So this is going to provide that little
I've noticed
yummy
this
crunch.
about you. You're a
Yes.
texture guy. You
I do.
have to have a crunchy thing.
I have a weird, I would not say by any means that I have like some super sophisticated palate. I really like everything. I'm not a food critic. I cook for a living because I love food. And so how can you, if you cook for a living, I feel like you got to love food and not be so discerning about it. So I'm not by any means. All right, so we got a Moroccan carrot salad we're going to do with seeds. I'm flipping over here to our recipe.
Okay, before you flip over, we have a question from
Yes.
Rachel on
Yes,
the
Rachel.
Facebooks, and she asked, can you roast any noodle before boiling it?
Roast any what?
Noodle, toast. Sorry,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
said yes.
And I will say this.
Could I do Kraft macaroni and cheese or whatever?
You could roast the noodles beforehand. It seems
Okay.
really, really weird, but I want you
right.
to know, Rachel, that I've failed so many times trying to prove that you can do something, and sometimes we just fail and we don't recover. But there are so many times where those happy accidents. One of the best pasta dishes I've ever had was the roasted bucatini with pomodoro sauce. It was at a restaurant in Los Angeles that no longer exists, but it's fantastic, and it was so simple. But what was great was the bucatini, which is those big noodles, were roasted, and so they were like caramelized, and so you have all that. Just imagine that great Durham kind of like just roasted texture and that flavor. Once you boil them in salt water, it just had like a more toothsome, but it's phenomenal. It just took everything up a notch, and that's why we have our farro roasting. We're going real time. I got 7 seconds. I'm about to flip it around. Here we go. I'm flipping. Can you smell it, Charlotte?
Can you show everybody what it looks like so far?
So this is the farro. This is what we started with. So you see there's a little color variation. Eventually, I want to show you what it's going to look like. You know what I don't remember? I don't remember if I put it in that side or the wrong side, so we're just going to go with it. I'm going to repeat that timer. Here's what it looks like when it's done. This is how dark, this is how dark I took this. So can you see got the overhead cam? So you see the fact that this was how it was, and we just toasted the heck out of it, and now it looks like that. But that's going to give our tabbouleh such a beautiful roasted flavor. It's really, really good. So I've got some water boiling. We're going to get this going, because I want to make sure we finish all this up. Let's see if I can make this happen without looking like a total...
So I Googled the definition of toothsome.
Yes.
And it means temptingly tasty.
What does it mean?
Temptingly tasty.
Really?
Yes.
All right, I like that.
If you were referring to a person, it means good looking or attractive.
Oh, naturally. Oh, farro, vegetable broth in my thing. Already brought to a boil. I was ahead of time. I'm meased out. I'm going to do a big pinch of salt in here. Again, I'm using the low sodium vegetable broth. That's usually not like me, and I apologize. Those of you looking for the good six pounds of salt I normally put in food. I won't disappoint you on certain things for sure, but tonight I'm going to go with the low sodium vegetable broth. It was easier to grab. All right, the Moroccan style carrot salad. So what I love about, there's so many great flavor profiles all over the world, and I think I've always said that your palate speaks more languages than you do. So when you taste things, I think in South Texas or in Texas in general, there's a lot of cumin. We have the cilantro, things that we're familiar with that I think work very well, and there's a lot of those same spices and in Morocco that work very well as well. The only thing we're going to do a little differently is we're going to kind of take a turn where our normal, like in our spice mix here, I've got the cumin, coriander, and smoked paprika, all very, very normal, and for the American palate, I feel like, especially in Texas, we're used to those kind of things, and salsas, different fajita rubs, all those things. But we're going to kind of take it in a different turn by adding a little mint and fresh dill to this. There's nothing really interesting else. We got the lemon juice, we got garlic, all that stuff, olive oil. It's very simple. But we're going to kind of take it in a left turn to kind of really make it sing a different song. And so we're going to kind of take like a little 45-degree turn with the dill and the fresh mint and all this stuff working together. This is a great salad that's great for make-ahead. So you could do this. I've got two different kinds of, you can see the fancy and the non-fancy. I've got the julienne organic carrot. I tend to go toward the organic, but look, the matchstick carrots, the exact same carrot. One's organic, one's organic. I'm going to show you they'll all play together today. We're going to use the same cut, two different styles, 20 ounces. It's 10 ounces per bag. That's what we're going to start with. I got the fresh dill. I got the fresh mint. And all this stuff coming together, it's great for make-ahead. The longer this salad sits, the better it's going to taste. So you make this the night before. The next day, the time the acid's kind of gotten in there, it's kind of softened up the cucumbers. That's not a cucumber, Scott. That's a carrot.
You were close.
I told you there's no teleprompter. I'm just flying blind. So the carrot. So once it sits, all that flavor is going to kind of just soak in there, and that the acid's going to kind of soften the carrots. For the next day, it's amazing. This is a flavor kick in the teeth. The amount of spice, the amount of everything we're using, it's literally just like every time you get it, you're like, poof. It's big, and that's the way it needs to be. We're going to top it with a little bit of sesame seeds because I like how that finishes. It almost is kind of meant to mimic the tahini a little bit, which is obviously a sesame seed paste. All right, here we go. A bowl. Now I'm going to use my H-E-B borosilicate bowl. It's a K&T. It's nice. Borosilicate. Charlotte, how much more money do I get every time I say borosilicate? Do I get anything? Are the royalties? Are we set yet for the borosilicate? I feel like I've hit it a lot. No? You're not saying anything. That means we haven't set it up yet. That's all right. I'll still say it. It's my favorite. It's my favorite kind of bowl. All right. So I'm going to do this a little differently. In the recipe, it does call for you to take garlic, lemon juice, all the spices, and buzz them up together. I'm not going to do that for this this class because I want to show you that I'm going to kind of give this some time to marinate. I could make this entire salad. You could be eating this in the next 5 minutes, and it'd be totally fine. However, if you're like my friend Charlotte, who used to love to eat garlic cloves every morning when she woke up and then would brush her teeth. That was never her. She doesn't like garlic as much, so I'm going to soften the garlic a little bit by grating it into the lemon juice. So what that's going to do is it's going to kind of work to acidulate or kind of soften the garlic. And this is where, if you like spice, I left it out, but I tell you that it'd be really, really good to have some Thai-bird peppers, serrano peppers, jalapeno peppers, dice them up, put them into the lemon juice with your garlic, and let it all kind of marry, because that acid is going to kind of help it to soften a little bit, and it'll just kind of mellow everything. It'll be really, really good. But if you're cooking this for kids, you're not a big fan of spice, just leave it out. All right, that's going to go there. I'm going to add the carrots. This is what's great. These are already done. Now, if you wanted to practice your knife skills and julienne carrots, it'd probably take you a few hours. It would take me a few hours at least. But why not grab, our HEB produce department does such a great job on all this. Come on, look at this. This bag doesn't want to rip. There it is. Now I got it. All right, so julienne carrots. Now, I'm going to massage this seasoning, my seasoning mix, which is the cumin, coriander, and smoked paprika, along with my herbs and my salt. I'm going to massage this on the carrots to kind of soften them a little bit. And I'm going to put this in the fridge and this in the fridge to kind of sit. And then toward the end, we'll marry everything together and do it once the garlic is out of time. I wish I had a jalapeno, because then I'd make the point and show you how cool it would be, because it looked really pretty. But there's a lot of green. It's a really nice, so it's a lot of seasoning, right? So it's a teaspoon and a half cumin, teaspoon and a half coriander, 1 teaspoon smoked paprika. If you like more smoked paprika, you can add more to your taste, obviously. Let me grab my gloves here. All right, sesame seeds will just stay. They're garnished at the very end. I'm going to hit it with a good amount of salt, because anytime we're going to add salt to vegetables, it's going to pull out some of that moisture, especially the fresh vegetables. I'm excited to tell you what our main dish is tonight as we get through it. I know those of you that are signed up for the class can see the recipes. Those of you watching on Facebook, and a good amount of salt. All right, we're going to kind of massage this in here. So massaging all this seasoning first, and I'm like, holy cow, it smells so good. So good. All right, so I'm going to massage all that in, take my gloves off, I'm going to add my herbs, I'm going to mix again. So dill and mint. Charlotte, you a big fan?
I am.
You are?
A fan of mint?
Yeah.
Yes, I am a huge fan of mint.
I'm a fan of mint in the savory application.
Same.
So typically, this is not me being lazy, this is me doing it rustically. I would take all the stems off these, but since there's so much flavor in the actual stems, like the mint stems, cilantro stems, parsley stems, are great for stocks, I'm going to chop it small enough to where I'm not worried about the stems being in there. So here's what we're going to do. Now you could take these off, you could just kind of julienne them, and once I start to get close to the stems, I just go a little bit tighter, so you just get that beautiful julienne. This calls for about half a cup, quarter cup, however you want to do. If this is your first time ever having mint in something, I would say you could maybe back off just a little bit and not go so crazy. But I love mint, and I love what it does to salad. This is where you take that big right turn in flavor by adding this all together, because it's really, really savory. All right, here we go. Compost my mint, the dill. I'm going to chop them both up together here. I love fresh dill. Dill's one of those things, typically I'd pull it off the stems as well. If you have tender enough stems though, you can use them. Just discard anything that looks like it's a little weepy. Weepy? I don't know if that's a word for vegetables, but it looks like it's kind of crying a little bit. It's wet, right? Call it weepy. Am I using that terminology right, Chef? I don't know. Weepy? It's sweating.
Yeah.
Schwitzing. Good Yiddish word.
So Tompkins,
Yes. All right.
I'm not a huge fan of dill.
No, you're not, huh?
Dill is not my favorite. Get
ready to live. This is all for you. A lot of fresh herbs. So I'll tell you, if you're not a big fan of fresh dill, I was not either. I started using dill more in things that I never thought dill should go in. Things like this little marinated kind of salad, because it's just going to give it a little pickle flavor. All right, this lemon juice is here. I'm going to remash my carrot salad here. I'm going to give it a little more pinch of salt with the herbs.
We have a couple of questions about the herbs.
Yes. Let her rip.
The stems, you left the stems on?
Yes.
For any particular reason other than you were being rustic?
Rustic? No. So if you chop them small enough, it doesn't bother me. If you're worried about the flavor being too much, just pull the leaves off, and I would just kind of roll them up and just chop them really small.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm going to chop them small enough to where it's not really going to be an issue.
And mint
mostly,
and dill are tender.
Yeah, for like rosemary, thyme, sage, you only want to do the leaves, because otherwise those are they're like tree branches. Most of those are very, very fibrous and very, very tough, and so you definitely do not want to use those. You can use those to flavor things, like if you're going to make like a rosemary ice cream or whatever, you can use the stems, or sage ice cream or whatever, you can use those. But for those, like more of those thicker, hardier, woodsy herbs, 100% thyme, take all those leaves off and then chop them. For stuff like mint, dill, that's sometimes a little softer stems, you can use some of the top stems, and if it just bothers you, you can just cut them off or just peel them off. But this is again, using the rustic way of doing it. So that's it. So this is done. So right now, I could add olive oil, I could add my little more salt, I could throw my lemon juice on there and mix it all up, and I could serve this. So that could be an appetizer if you got people waiting. But again, I'm going to let this kind of soften. My friend Charlotte, not the biggest fan of the fresh garlic. I love fresh garlic.
I like fresh garlic. I just don't like the level and volume at which you use fresh garlic.
All right. Hopefully you're checking on your tabbouleh. You got a timer set. I got 23 more seconds on mine. All right, I'm gonna flip this over here. Now the good thing is I don't have to try and switch because I'm not doing anything that's gonna cause any cross-contamination. I don't have any chicken, I don't have any beef. I'm just using straight vegetables. So unless I don't want the flavor of the dill or something like that to contaminate what I'm about to make, I'm all about just flipping the cutting board over and going from there. All right, the main dish tonight. So one of the most Googled recipes that we've seen over the past few years is chicken piccata. So when we talk about being like trying to be vegan or eating vegan, or how can you better be, look at this, hang on. How can you get more vegetables into your, you know what, I should have doubled up the cloth because this is burning my hand, but I want to show you this real fast. See how dark that is? It smells like little popcorn kernels. You can see the color on that. So this will cook up beautifully, and I'll show you what that looks like. And let that cool off. Chicken piccata, so it's really, really simple. And it's flavors I think everybody can, you know, relate to. That it's capers, it's lemon juice, it's chicken broth or vegetable broth, it's chicken, bread and a little bit of flour, and then quickly fried. We're going to kind of do a braised dish. We're kind of turning this into more of a braised dish. I think piccata can be kind of a braised dish where you're going to saute the chicken, get it crispy, pull it out of the pan, make the sauce, and kind of go from there. So we're going to do cauliflower, and that's going to be our main attraction. Again, center of the plate. It's not about having to be anything that just seems weird, or if you don't like certain things, or if you're not a big fan of alternate proteins. And this is just about like, hey, how do I just get more vegetables into my food? Charlotte, you had some great ideas when it comes to like how to kind of get more vegetables into your food, because you're like, hey, if I need to because of X, Y, or Z, like we talk about like hiding it in things, or just kind of using like, hey, throw some zucchini in your chili, or like get some really cool like ways to kind of add extra vegetables. But I love trying to take things that are not normally center of the plate and kind of turning them into more of a center of the plate. I just trimmed that off. Now you'll notice I'm not going to go crazy when I'm doing my little vegetable butchery here on my cauliflower. I just kind of trim the bottom off a little bit, but this is what I want to stay intact because we're going to kind of braise the cauliflower. So I want to make sure that it can stay with the root stem, because that's where you're going to get that little bit of crunch. Like the chicken's not completely fall apart, right? You want to make sure. So this is about a 1/4 inch slice all the way through, and if it falls apart, it falls apart. Leave those whole, stay whole, but otherwise you want a flat surface because we're going to sear this first. A nice hard sear in a pan to get some color on it, get some flavor. Because as if you've ever had frozen Brussels sprouts, if you've ever had frozen Brussels sprouts, you know how delicious they are when you take them out of the freezer and try to crunch on them. Nope, that's not what I was trying to say at all. Fried Brussels sprouts, if you've been to a restaurant, you know that caramelization, that flavor, it's so good. And so that's what you're going to get out of this. You're going to get that caramelization, you're going to get some really good flavor. So you can see here, like these are big pieces, leave them. There's our little cutlets. So I'm going to let those here. Now I already happen to have some cauliflower cut up, so I'm going to show you how we're going to do this.
Okay.
Here we go. Moving over to the stove cam. I have another borosilicate bowl of my chopped up cauliflower. So if you're looking for convenience and you want to do this with our value-added veg, you have the cauliflower, it's over there, it's in the florets. You can do that. My hesitation would be make sure you cut them in half, because you do want a flat surface to sear your cauliflower. Otherwise, it may get uneven and may be weird and may not cook as evenly. So if at least it's the same like size relatively, it'll be a little better. So I'm gonna do about a 1/4 cup of olive oil. I know it seems like a lot, but I got a nice big K&T pan. So if you buy yourself any pan or you're looking for the right pan, this is probably one of my most favorite K&T pans. It's a big stainless steel, like big open. It's got a beautiful little top here, little copper style handles, handles, close enough. And the little, the peak hole, the peaker,
I remember my first day talking.
The steam valve hole, the little, whatever the technical name is for it, that helps stuff come out without it bubbling all over the place. It's really good. It's very heavy duty, and it's worth the, like, I think it's around like just under 40 bucks. It's amazing. Good amount of olive oil. I'm going to turn up the heat. Now, yes, I have a 75,000 BTU stove, so mine's going to cook a little differently than yours will. So just monitor yours. I'm going to throw in about 3 cloves of garlic. All I've done to that garlic is smash it.
Okay.
We're building flavor here. We're going to layer some things. So I'm letting the garlic get nice and browned. So I'm going to let it get toasty. I got a pair of tongs standing by.
What is your stove set? Like medium high? Medium?
It's a pretty, yeah, like I would say like medium high. You could get away with that. And you're just going to watch it. I'm just going to basically sear these on both sides. Take your garlic clove, you just give it a quick smash. If it comes in pieces, don't worry, mine did too. But all we're trying to do is release all that garlic oil. So the garlic oil will kind of perfume the oil in here. Now, I have some minced garlic we're going to add afterward, but this is kind of meant, again, we're going to layer some flavor. So it's meant to kind of perfume the oil, and then we do the hard sear on the cauliflower. It'll kind of get us to where we're going to keep kind of building that flavor up. So I'm going to let that just kind of saute for a second. All right, we're over here. I'm going to take my cauliflower. I'm going to move it to a
So
tray
really
over
good
here.
point. Don't add the minced garlic to your hot oil now because it'll burn, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Don't want to
so
do
whole
that. We're basically just going to do the whole garlic cloves to flavor it. So it's a little divided use there. I'm kind of digging the fact I don't have to keep switching out cutting boards. I just wipe it off and we're just going to keep going. That's how we're doing it. All right, so it's going to fry up. So as this is frying up, let's get our tabbouleh here. All right, the tabbouleh. So I said earlier, you could definitely do this. Our tabbouleh's cooking over here. Our farro, I should say. I keep wanting to say tabbouleh, but that's the dish. So our farro, again, that's a really, really hot stove. So I'll probably add a little more liquid. Look how beautiful that is, though. I'm a big fan of toothsome grains, and that's pretty good for me, but I'm going to add a little more water, just a scotch. And when I say scotch, I'm adding about a 1/4 cup. Great thing about farro is, I feel like when you cook rice and you make rice and you mess it up, you can't really go back. Like it's either going to get overcooked, it'll get mealy. Where farro, because we've toasted it and roasted it, it's a lot more tolerable of if I were to take this too high and overcook it and go, oh my gosh, what happened? It'll still turn out really, really good. I'm going to turn this way down, but that's cooking. You see my garlic kind of frying up here? Look at that. So I would say, Charlotte, a little more California tan.
Okay.
A little more than a California tan.
Okay.
Like going toward, we're almost got a sunburn. Get a little time for it to go here. All right, the rest of my ingredients, the cauliflower right over here. I'm going to set those aside while I'm browning. All right, the tabbouleh. So if you have the time, and you do like I do, here's the tabbouleh that's done. So I put it in a bowl. It's cooled off.
So farro, not tabbouleh. That's farro.
I keep saying that.
My
See what happens?
My job is to keep you
I have
on track.
That is it, in so many ways. That is your job. This is the finished farro with the uncooked farro, and you can see just how far we took this. But just imagine this is a good grain on its own. The farro's great. But once we roasted it and we cooked it off,
it's so chocolate looking. I love it.
It's really good. It has that deep mahogany kind of nuttiness around it. So mahogany nuttiness. These are good descriptive terms.
I have a couple of questions
Yes.
about our tabbouleh salad that we're making.
Yes.
One, can I use a flavored oil instead of the Rustico? Raina is asking from Facebook.
Yes.
And then the next question is, how long did that farro actually boil?
This farro, this is the quick cook farro. So it only takes about, once you roast it and add the water, for this application, if you're going to cook the whole thing of farro, which is the whole container, which is almost a pint, it's basically 2 cups, I do about 3 cups of water for this because this farro is quick cooked, which means it's already been kind of cooked, and so it doesn't need as much as like regular farro, which you kind of have to soak and take a little longer to cook. But this is already soaked, so it's about 15 to 20 minutes total cooking time. So it's very simple. If it starts to burn or you're evaporating water too quickly, add a little bit of olive oil to it just to kind of keep it so it'll, because worst case scenario, it's a really hearty grain. It'll kind of fry a little bit, and that fried grain, also great flavor. In the tabbouleh salad, tomatoes, cucumbers, really, really simple here. A lot of great herbs. So this is my, I call this the quartet. I said a lot of different things, and what I meant was the quartet of herbs. So it's the 4 herbs. Like a quartet at a string wedding, we have the cilantro, the parsley, the mint, and again, I'm going to add the dill. We're going to go with the all 4 of them. The biggest component to a tabbouleh salad really is the parsley. There's a lot of parsley. It is very parsley forward. You could absolutely, if you grow Italian parsley in South Texas and you've got some great parsley that's growing, you can absolutely use Italian parsley. I tend to find that once I chop it and get it small enough, sometimes it can get weepy or just kind of muddles a little too much. Find the curly parsley will hold together a little bit better and gives it more of that texture, so that's what I'm going to use. I've gone ahead and diced up my, I'll show you here how I dice up my tomato. This just makes it easier. I will top and tail my tomato here. I don't know if you can see that, Rob, my in frame. There you go. And then I'll just cut it into like, little 1/4-inch slices. And then I can just stack them, and I'll just kind of drag the knife through. And depending on how sharp your knife is, don't cut yourself. And then just a quick dice with a nice little blade. As little or as big as you want them, it doesn't really matter. And I will leave all the seeds in. If you're a big Roma tomato fan, or you have Roma tomatoes that you use in cooking a lot and you've kind of got the seeds already out, you can absolutely use those. I like the seeds in this. Reason being is because I want there to be, we're kind of making a vinaigrette out of all this, right? So we have our, this is going to be very risky, but I'm going to do it. It's all vegetables. Back in my knife, right in here. Beautiful. All right. We have the tomatoes, we have the cucumbers, also a lot of water in our, that's probably enough, right? That's probably good. You like tomatoes, right, Charlotte?
I love tomatoes.
Once we add a little salt to the cucumbers and tomatoes, they're automatically gonna start to leach out and give some of that flavor. So that's what's gonna flavor the tabbouleh. That's what's gonna flavor our base. So we have the lemon juice, olive oil, garlic, really, really simple. So once we start adding a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, is that my garlic?
Oh man, that smells so good.
So we're gonna get rid of our garlic. It's definitely sunburn, which was okay. That's all right. All right, here's the part. So we have our oil's smoking hot because I'm on a super high BTU stove. I'm gonna let that sit for a second.
Smells so good in here.
The garlic smells really, really good. All right, let the oil cool for a second because we're just going. And I've got some green onions, so I'm gonna hit it with some salt. Again, it's gonna start to leach out that flavor. So the lemon juice, the garlic, the tomato, the cucumber, it's gonna start to make this liquid, and that farro is gonna drink it all up, and it's gonna form this base of this delicious vinaigrette. How many, you like green onions, Charlotte?
Love them.
All right, I'll do a pretty good handful of green onions here. I love that as well. Again, the aromatic we're adding to this, just extra flavor. Nice sharp knife.
I think it's great that you've added all of these different flavors to the farro from the very beginning all the way to the finished product, because cooking grains or pasta, sometimes people don't season enough with enough spices or salt or whatever that may be, and you get all of these beautiful things together, but this really bland base. So
I'm telling you, this kind of vegetables and this kind of like vegan food to me is like, it has to sing. Like it's really got to be super flavor forward. A lot of good extra flavors and just everything. I lied. It's not dill. It's the carrot salad that has all the trifecta of herbs. Trifecta, quartet. See? I'll get there. Numbers are new for me.
Trifecta denotes 3 and quartet.
Right. I'm doing 4. the duecta.
Okay.
We do the duecta. This is the, that's a word, patent pending, on my blog. I dispense words like that as well as my amateur medical advice to those who need it.
Yes.
All right. Charlotte knows about that. All right, a little fresh mint. Again, tabbouleh is the star. I have a lot of fresh parsley. It's going to look really, really weird, but this is what it's all about. Fresh curly parsley. I'm going to kind of roll it. I've gone ahead and washed it. And this is just chopping it up really, really thin or rough. And yes, I'm using the stems. I feel like the parsley stems are thin enough to where you can totally eat them. It's about 2 cups.
Did you know that cumin and coriander are part of the parsley family?
They're part of the parsley family?
Mm-hmm.
That's probably why I like them so much. I could do cumin and coriander in just about anything. If I haven't showed you this trick, it's a lot of fun.
Wolverine.
Especially when you have different size knives. I'll show Rob. This is where you got to be very careful. Just tuck your fingers if you got bigger hands like I do. This just makes this go a whole lot faster. Eventually, you chop smarter, not harder, right? All right, there we go. All of our chopped parsley, pretty small. All right, this goes in the bowl. Again, I've already hit it with a little bit of our salt and pepper. I'm gonna hit it with a little bit more. This is gonna get a little bit of garlic. And again, this salad right now is ready to go. We could eat this as is, 100%. Move that guy out of the way here. All my parsley. If you don't want to ruin your blade or worried about cutting yourself, if you're trying to scrape things toward yourself, use the back of your knife. Little tip there. How much garlic in this one? Everything's got a lot of garlic, but I feel like garlic it's good. It's good for you, right? All right, cauliflower. You ready for this?
Yes.
Still hot? Here we go. Now use this. This is where you use this as your shield. Lid on. I'll turn the heat back on to low here. Again, it's not going to take very long. We're going to watch that really quickly while we're finishing up our tabbouleh. I'm going to use my handy grater. It's already been using my garlic before. A couple cloves. Is that good, Charlotte? Just a couple cloves here?
Yeah. Maybe 1 clove, because that's what I'm having for dinner.
1 clove, heard.
Thank you, Chef.
1, 2 cloves. 2 cloves of garlic.
Man.
Did you say 2 or did you say 1? I want to make sure I hit the right. I feel like, you know,
okay.
It's all relative, because if that was a small clove, I feel like it would, if I used a giant clove, I'm not using elephant garlic though. All right, here we go. Olive oil, lemon juice.
Yes, I was waiting for that lemon juice. Did you get it in there?
Not yet.
Oh, because you did that garlic. So he's really adding more garlic, because remember.
Check your cauliflower. It's going to get nice and hot. I have the garlic. That's all I need. That garlic's for the carrots.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
That's right. But I left my lemon juice sitting there, so I was grabbing it. You can start to smell your, now I could juice a lot of lemons, but I prefer to go to the H-E-B where they sell the fresh juice, unpasteurized, fresh squeezed lemon juice, just as good.
Oh, you're
you
just
don't
going
need
to
a ton
eyeball
here.
that.
Ish.
Living dangerous.
It's an ish. That's what we do in here. All right, so probably could have used a bigger bowl, but you know what? Also like to make things harder on myself.
I
So
think
here
it's
we go.
perfect. Your spoon might be a
So
little
look
too
at how
big,
pretty. So you can see like here's all the, what do they talk about? Our dietitians, our fantastic dietitians.
Eat the rainbow.
Eat the rainbow. All this great flavor. All right, this is gonna need a little more salt. I can feel it. It's like when I see like sweet tooth, like when you have a sweet tooth, like you can tell what strawberries and what other fruit is gonna be sweet by just knowing. You just have that knack for sweet stuff. Calls to you. All right, a little toss here. This is gonna go back in the fridge. This is gonna be ready to plate up in just a few minutes with everything else. I'm gonna check on our cauliflower and then we're gonna do our strawberries. How am I doing on time? Am I right on time?
You have plenty of time.
All right, you ready for this? Here we go, Rob. My poor garlic. I should have put more sunscreen on my garlic, that's the problem.
It's perfect. It smells so good in here.
All right, here we go.
It's rustic, remember?
Give us a wipe. It's a rustic. Also, was that your way of saying, Scott, that was lazy? Mm-hmm. And that's okay. All right, here we go. Spoon off to the side, garlic. I think I'm done with that for now. All right, cauliflower, slotted spoon. So as we're gonna kind of toss this around, get back in there. So the great thing is, again, so you can see a little bit of color on this. Just give it some time. Let it get a little bit of brown, a little bit of that caramelization. Whatever you can't take out with your slotted spoon, leave in there. The reason being is if there's a lot of small pieces, I throw everything into this because all these little bits and pieces that are too small to pick up, don't sit there and fight with them with your spoon. Don't worry about it. Let them burn. That burned flavor is going to add a whole lot of flavor when we make our sauce. And then when you catch that little nugget of like that burned flavor, again, it's like that little fried Brussels sprout. It'll be like that sweet, kind of charred flavor. It's really, really good.
It's the best.
Oh,
it's the best.
so good.
Yeah.
So again, cauliflower, you don't want this to be so cooked that you go to take a bite with your fork and it just kind of goes and falls apart. I'll do it again for, as you hear it, like it just falls apart. You want it to still be, have a little bit of flavor. I didn't even get it out that time. It just kind of fizzled out. It was like just testing our mics, you know. You want it to still have a little bit of toothsomeness to it. Not that it's hard, but these, again, these stems right here, this is really hot, so I'm gonna be really careful. These can take a whole lot of cooking. They can take they can take a pretty good beating on the heat. So I'm gonna turn those up a little bit more, give them a little quick high heat sear just to get them seared. I'm gonna remove them to a bowl. I'm gonna set them aside, and then I'm gonna start to build our sauce here. Once it's done, I'm telling you, this thing burns hot. Our little burners here, they don't mess around.
It just occurred to me that cauliflower can do anything. You can
really
make cauliflower.
is like
don't want to have a chicken wing? Want a vegan chicken wing? Have some cauliflower.
Cauliflower
don't
chicken
want
wing,
rice?
exactly.
Have some cauliflower.
Would you say
cauliflower's working overtime?
Jack of all trades, master of none, or just jack of all trades?
It's a jack of all trades, but
can do everything, right?
I mean,
I think it can. All right, so we're gonna do this. We got our garlic in there, our cauliflower. I'm just about to remove it. You can see where there's a little bit of, you can see that color, right? We get a little bit of color around the edges. This is good enough for me. So I'm just gonna remove this guy, just the cauliflower. Now watch, I'm not gonna go crazy. I don't need to get every single piece. Whatever's left in there is whatever's left. All right, now this is where you're gonna add typical chicken piccata. You'd have your butter, right? It's kind of a butter lemon sauce,
yeah.
really, really nice. You could add a little white wine if you wanted to. You could add white wine to this if you wanted to. Depends if you want your the kids are eating it or not, but it's gonna burn off anyway, so it doesn't really matter. All right,
you could do
so
some vermouth maybe. That'd be good.
Vermouth.
Yeah.
That's a favorite one. We like to use vermouth a lot. So I'm gonna leave these guys. They're okay. I'm okay with that. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. I'm gonna add my butter. So I'm using the vegan butter. It really doesn't matter what kind of butter you use. The vegan butter, I think they're all really good. I just like this one because it comes in those little blocks. Not all of them come in the little, so I can measure out 3 tablespoons of it. Throw your butter in there. I still have plenty of olive oil left. Again, I added a lot of olive oil. I'm gonna add the minced garlic, and we took out our California garlic. You see how I'm splashing grease on myself? It's by design. I like to give a little, gotta wear the battle scars home, right, from class here. All right, so.
You're so tough.
I promise you it has something to do with it. All right, the garlic, you're gonna get that sauteed just a second. I'm gonna do this and my strawberries at the exact same time, Charlotte. Watch me. All right.
I'm excited about these strawberries.
So let's just talk a second about strawberries as I have. You keep your eyes on that over there, Charlotte. I know it's going to be tough because you're sitting at a level with the same thing, but I just
got
want
you
to
though.
Use all your telepathic senses.
I know what burnt cauliflower smells like.
All right, as we're doing this, all right, let me grab my other ingredients here for the cauliflower. I have so we are going to use a little bit of flour in this. Now, I'm taking a pivot off the strawberries for a second, Charlotte. Hang on. I want you to know that if you were trying to make this gluten-free, you can. However, I test this recipe with both rice flour and regular flour, and I will say that the regular flour way, the gluten way, tasted a lot better and definitely cooked up the sauce a little better. If you use rice flour, totally fine to do in the same quantities. Just know that it may get a little more gelled and may have a little more of that kind of, gelatinous thing to it, which maybe it's appealing to you, maybe you don't mind it. It totally doesn't matter, it's just a personal preference. All right, see how it's starting to get a little brown in there? We're gonna throw the flour in. Now, I'm also gonna throw in right now, see how it's starting to bubble and fizz? Ooh. Capers are gonna go in. I love capers. Capers are good. Any kind of artichoke you wanna use, I'm using the little quartered artichokes, that's one can. And everything's just gonna get kind of sauteed together. If right now, I dumped in my broth and my lemon juice, it's going to be a mess because you'll have all this flour flavor that's not cooked out in this, and you want to definitely make sure, especially with raw flour, you want to make sure you cook this enough to where this should start to kind of stick to your pan, which is totally fine because we're going to deglaze it with the stock and the lemon juice, so it's totally going to be fine. So we're going to get this cooked a little bit because I promise you, if you were just to add the broth and everything and the flour and pour it all in there, right, you're going to have that like raw flour flavor, and it's really, really hard to cook it out. And by the time you probably cooked it out, you'd have no more liquid in the pan. I put enough liquid in this recipe so where you should be able to, if you want to serve it over pasta, you could absolutely have enough sauce to serve it over pasta. All right, I'm gonna let that go for just a second. Everything's looking good. The cauliflower's there.
This looks amazing.
Our farro is done. Ooh. Look at that. So that's my farro. Now all I need to do with that farro is cool it, let it sit, and then I could just throw it in my pan. Or if it's hot right now, you can throw it in and make your warm farro.
I think a warm tabbouleh sounds pretty good, if you ask me.
It's nice. All the vegetables, no cross-contamination. It's really, really nice. Okay, strawberries. So because it's still summertime, we're moving more toward fall. This is a great time to take advantage of all the rest of the great summer produce. We have our peaches, all that stuff before we start to transition into fall. I love eating the seasons, right? So like when things are meant to be in season, strawberries, peaches, all these things, when we got a lot of great local Texas farmers we work with for not only for our beef, but also for all of our produce and great things. So it's great to have these local strawberries. We've got some great hydroponic Texas strawberries. They're also cool that you can check out at most HEBs. They're fantastic. They're nice and big, grown hydroponically, which means in the water, not in the dirt. Really cool and fascinating way to get them. They're really, really tasty as well. I like just really good strawberries. I find them, I pick them out. I find the best ones. Let me get a new knife here. All right, you see this? I came over. See how we're starting to get like a little bit of caramelization on our...
Could you use cornstarch in this one, Chef?
You can, but I would make a slurry out of it first.
Okay.
So I would use, so if it calls for 4 tablespoons, well, they thicken differently. So I would start with 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Okay. And like a tablespoon of water or 2 tablespoons of water, and mix it up, and then you could add it, and you can make. It's a great way to make vegan gravy.
Yeah. Cornstarch does have to boil though before it activates.
What's that?
Cornstarch has to boil.
It does. It's heat activated. Yes. Exactly. All right. So now we're going to add. This is basically done. You ready for this? Here's our lemon juice. This pan is amazing. It's so nice. The vegetable broth or
Did you
stock.
make your own broth, or is that HEB?
No. Typically I would. This is just the HEB, low sodium vegetable broth again. So
do you use vegetable bones in your?
Did I what?
Do you use vegetable bones in your vegetable broth?
Only the best vegetable bones in my vegetable broth. I'm gonna let this simmer here. You got to season at every stage, right? So we're gonna add the cauliflower back in. Now that's just gonna simmer. And as that's going to come to a simmer, you're going to see the sauce start to thicken. I'm going to hit the cauliflower, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of salt, and that's all this needs. This is basically done. It's ready to go. I'm going to let it just cook though. Top on, let it cook. The sauce will thicken up just a little bit. I'm going to turn this up a little bit. Oh, I lost my flame, that's why. All right, top goes on. Back to berries. Here we go. It's all coming together.
It is all
Plate them
coming
all up.
together.
All right, so strawberries, depending on how you want to serve this, typically strawberries Romanoff, I think are either, they're split in half or they're quartered.
They're usually whole.
I like to quarter them, unless they're small enough, and then just cut them in half, doesn't really matter. I'm gonna add to my little bowl over here. And I am gonna serve the strawberries Romanoff in a K&T wine glass, because that's the way I feel like you should serve strawberries Romanoff. Is that correct? Am I right?
You are correct.
Strawberries Romanoff. Strawberries Romanoff is such a great thing. There's my strawberries. I got some extra ones here on the side to garnish. We got to put together our coconut manna and the whipped cream, our vegan whipped cream.
So strawberries Romanoff is whipped cream with sour cream and brown sugar and vanilla added to it.
Yeah, kind of like a kicked up chantilly almost. So if you've ever watched this program, you know that I like to whip whipped cream by hand. I like to do that. I like to torture myself just a little bit, but I want to show you. So this is the coconut manna that we made. The vanilla extract, a little bit of salt, the coconut flakes, and the sweetened Guinness coconut milk. Look how thick that's gotten. So look how beautiful that is. So imagine that. There's like a little dollop on that right on top of your... Uh-oh. Did you already get into this, Charlotte? Did you already start eating this?
No, it wasn't me.
Weird.
Somebody else.
We'll trust it. We'll eat it. I'm sure somebody here got into it. Into a little bowl we go here.
It was me.
So if you're using the True Whip, that's all I found at H-E-B. It's totally fine. Got a spatula up here. I'm going to add this to the bowl. I'm going to use my right arm, because that's my whisking arm. I'm going to add the entire container of this. Oh, I should have thrown that in my mouth. I wanted to. I meant to throw that whole spoon right in my mouth because it's delicious. So look how thick this got.
Ooh.
Again, that fat. So we're going to whip it up, and then again, we're going to let this sit in the fridge for just like 5 or 6 minutes, and then you will see when it's done how this all looks. Where'd my whisk go? My whiskey go. All right, cauliflower's still working. So we're just going to kind of whisk this all together.
Oh,
all
man.
of it. So it just gives it a little more body to it. Now this is what you can use. Once you store it in your fridge, you can use this, put it over your fresh fruit like we're going to do. Look at that. Come on, come on.
Oh, wow, let's wait. Hold on.
It has a little
we need
bit
to
of
see that
texture.
again one more time.
Oh, wait, like
Well, that's
this?
a great...
Oh, like this?
Well, that's excessive now. Now you're just excessive. That's a great Romanoff texture.
It is. It's nice and thick. It's I can't stop doing it now. I have to show. See, like this? Look how thick it is. Look at that. Come on. That's vegan. This is fantastic, and it tastes so good.
We're going to put that
All
on
right.
the loop, and that's going to be a TikTok.
Let's plate up our salads. We're ready to go. I told you about the carrot salad. We have everything in there. This has the quartet. I had so many herbs tonight, I can't even keep it all straight. The garlic in the lemon juice has acidulated. That goes in. The only thing it's missing here, a little pinch of salt and more olive oil. You don't have to use the rustic olive oil. I just happen to like this olive oil because we found out it came from the, what is it, Castelvetrano olives?
Yes, it's so buttery.
So buttery and so good.
And it's such a great price. Oh, it's such
For
a
an
great price.
unfiltered olive oil,
Yeah,
it's an amazing
14
price.
bucks. Good
All
price.
right, let's check on our cauliflower here. Oh, see that? I'm gonna turn it down. We're at 70,000 BTUs right now. So you see how it's starting to get a little saucy? This is not meant to be a gravy. It's not meant to be thick like a gravy. It's just meant to be thick enough to where it's a great sauce and it's sauce-like, and at the same time, we'll also coat some noodles if you serve it with that. All right, olive oil I put in there, a little pinch of salt. I think everything needs a good pinch of salt. All right, here we go. Carrots in. Holy cow, look at all that garlic in there. But we did soften it, right? Little lemon juice, we softened it all up. Here we go, guys. Final plating here.
So beautiful. All the
Carrot
color
salad.
happening up there is amazing.
And this is like, I kid you not, it is such a kick in the mouth as far as flavor goes. All right, I found this funky, like, am I a bowl? Am I a chair? I don't know what I am, but it looks really good. And you can see the carrot salad really well against the background of the dark color here. All right, here we go. Carrot salad goes in. Come on. What? Just put it all in there. Again, this is meal prep, guys. So you could absolutely make this ahead of time. Whatever you don't eat, you could put in the fridge, in a little lunch container. Carrot salad. Tabbouleh. I'm going to use a different spoon. Again, look at this. And again, both these salads, great as a meal unto themselves. This is a really filling tabbouleh with the farro in here. All right, here we go. All right, I'm going to go in a different bowl here.
That was just a standard stir. Now I want the artistic flair back.
Is that what you're looking for? I could really sell that right now. I wish you bet you'd never asked me to do that. All right, we're gonna build it up here, right in the center here, a couple more. Tabbouleh, delicious. And last but not least, certainly not least, all right, little tabbouleh. Strawberries drumming up, I gotta wait. Let me see what our cauliflower's doing. Do I have time? Do I have time to plate this up? Yes, I do. All right, let's do this. Okay, cauliflower on a nice plate like this. Actually, you know what? Let's
do that one. That's the one.
That's the one you.
Yes.
What you got for me? Here we go.
That's the one I
platter.
picked out.
All right, our dish. Heat is off. I'm gonna try and hold this with one hand for a quick second. Pan down. Hot food served hot, man, I'm telling you.
It's the best.
Here we go. So just imagine, big plate of noodles here.
Look at that, the consistency of that. Ooh la la.
It still has some toothsomeness to it, still has some bite to it. Come on. All that great sauce, served over some noodles. Get out of town, man, come on. All right, here we go. Last little bit, parsley. Boom, boom. And
Give me some more of that sauce.
I know it needs one pinch of, I'll save you the sauce, Chef.
Okay.
I got you.
All right.
And for dessert, I got you a fancy K&T wine glass because I feel like, doesn't Strawberries Romanoff come usually in a wine glass?
Yes, it does.
We've done that before where our spoon is too big to fit in our, been there. This should look a little prettier than the one I did where it slopped everywhere, the gazpacho. You remember that.
I do remember that. I'll never forget it.
All right, little strawberries in our glass here.
Oh, keep going. There you go.
Well, I got a lot of filler I got to fill in this, so give me,
there's some space in there.
We have our whipped cream. Just want to go back.
Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Tompkins.
Oh, here we go. All right, a little bit of that guy in there.
One more.
Come on, one more? All right.
Yeah. That's it.
All right, now, the cereal that you can take along on your vegan adventure with you, Captain Crunch. It's coming through strong here. Here we go. Marcona almonds, Captain Crunch, right on top.
Oh, man.
Let me get a spoon. I got a spoon. And I have the finest spoon.
Just leave it
platinum.
just like that.
Looks like a clear plastic spoon.
Just
Actually
leave it
made
like
out of
that.
platinum.
Oh,
That's our
you did
fancy.
it.
It's our fancy stemware. Guys, super easy again. The vegan class, all about just kind of showing you new possibilities and how to look at things differently. We want to meet you wherever you are. We've got so many great things from Meal Simple Cases, great recipes online. If you missed something, please go back and watch it. Go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/HEB. Check out past celebrity guests. Check out past classes. This is where those things you can kind of like, as you're looking on your tablet watching something, you can slow motion Charlotte and like one of those, like, or me, whoever you want to do, and then you can watch it over and over again. A lot of great content coming up. To find out what's coming up next, you can go to our website, heb.com/classes, to find out more. And because we are HEB, we like to do things and we like to go big on things. We're doing a vegan class this week, and next week, it's all things bacon. Bacon lovers, everything from bacon caramel to homemade pork belly, it's everything. I'm telling you, we meet you where you are. Check it out, it's a lot of fun. Guys, thank you so much for spending your time with us. Charlotte, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for keeping me in line. Guys, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. And again, you can always check it out on YouTube and heb.com. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.